Hi folks, I'm 13. TD is for tabletop. In my last D&D5e session, my party was actually super big brains. We figured out a way to glue Tiamat to the ground using sovereign glue. But what is the exact action cost for me to smear sovereign glue on the ground? I need an activate to use the sovereign glue, need an interact to pull it out, and I also need to drop prone and drop the two-handed weapon I am holding. If you want to know more about Activate and Interact, you can check out our previous videos. In this video, we are going to talk about the action cost of dropping prone and dropping an item. Let's jump back to the D&D3e era. Back then, dropping an item was a free action. It cost the same as dropping prone. When we get to WotC's Star Wars Saga Edition, dropping an item became a swift action. At the very same time, dropping prone was also changed to cost a swift action, so they still cost the exact same in the action economy. But in D&D4e, these two mechanics finally went their separate ways. Dropping prone started costing a minor action. Meanwhile, dropping an item stayed a free action. This was the first time dropping prone became more costly than dropping an item. The Pathfinder 2e family copied this exact setup later on. In Pathfinder 2e, dropping prone costs one action, while dropping an item is a free action. As for the D&D5e rulebook, it never actually states the exact action cost for dropping an item. But usually we go by lead designer Jeremy Crawford's Twitter ruling, treating it as a totally free action. Since dropping prone in 5e is also a free action, these two mechanics basically went right back to costing the exact same. In Draw Steel, dropping an item and dropping prone don't cost any major resources on paper, so you could say they cost the same. But if we look super closely, dropping an item is a totally free no action. Dropping prone, however, is a free maneuver. This means you can't do it if something is blocking your maneuvers. We can basically see this tiny difference as a leftover from the D&D4e setup, since we all know Draw Steel is heavily based on 4e design. Next up, let's look at Starfinder 1e and Last Arc. Both of these are 3e-like systems, made after D&D4e and 5e came out. Just like 3e, they put Interact and Stand Up into the Move action tier. But their drop prone costs a swift action, while dropping an item is a free action or no action. This was clearly shaped by the D&D4e design, where dropping prone is more costly than dropping an item. They both have a very developed swift action system, and the 3-tier downward substitution from standard action to move action to swift action. You could basically call them a hybrid of 3e and 4e. In DC20, dropping prone is basically an extreme form of controlled falling, so it costs 0 resources. But dropping an item is a type of interact. It is a quasi-action where the first 2 uses are free, but the third time costs you 1 AP. Interestingly, Shadow of the Demon Lord does something very similar, but your free uses depend on if you take a fast turn or a slow turn. You get 1 free use on a fast turn and 2 free uses on a slow turn. This makes this family a super weird exception out there, where dropping an item is actually more costly than dropping prone. As for D&D 5.5e, the new equip rules say you can equip or unequip one weapon when you attack. And equipping strictly includes dropping it. This makes dropping a weapon a quasi-action tied directly to the attack. And that makes it feel a bit more costly compared to normal 5e where it costs 0. Turning a weapon drop into a quasi-action basically leaves D&D 5.5e with 1 foot already in the Shadow of the Demon Lord family. But the rules don't clearly say if this change only applies to weapons, or if it covers dropping normal items too. Nimble is actually very similar here. In Nimble, dropping an item and swapping a weapon are both quasi-actions. but dropping an item is free once per turn, while swapping a weapon you have proficiency with is free once per round. Nimble clearly treats weapons and normal items differently when it comes to action costs. To sum it all up, the first row of our chart shows systems where dropping prone and dropping an item cost the exact same. Meanwhile, the second row shows systems where they have a clear contrast. At this point, by looking at how trivial activities like interact are grouped or split in the action economy, we easily clustered modern D&D and D&D adjacent systems into 9 clear families. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and support my Patreon. Until next time, may all your loot be heavy.